The iron taste of the pliers is nothing compared to the smell. It's a thick, humid miasma of gunpowder, voided bowels, and the sweet, cloying rot of 50,000 cooling carcasses. You are kneeling in the Belgian mud of Waterloo. Your knees are soaked in a cocktail of rainwater and cavalry horse blood that has turned the earth into a crimson. Soup. Click. The sound of metal meeting enamel is sharp, like a pistol hammer cocking in a silent room. You slide the cold steel tool into the mouth of a boy who can't be older than 19. His face is a mask of gray marble, frozen in a final silent scream that the rain is trying to wash away. You brace your heavy, mud-caked boot against his collarbone for leverage. You need that stability. Human teeth are not designed to leave their sockets easily. They are anchored by stubborn ligaments and a lifetime of biological intent. The pull is a sickening, wet crack. It's the sound of a tree branch snapping underwater. You feel the vibration travel up your arm, a jagged shudder through the handle of the pliers that tells you the root is intact. You wipe the pink, stringy pulp, the remains of the dental nerve, from the tooth onto your coat and drop the ivory prize into a leather pouch. It clinks against dozens of others. This isn't a crime of passion. It's an industrial harvest. Every tooth in your bag is a sovereign in your pocket. While the generals talk of glory and the maps of Europe are redrawn in ink, you are rewriting them in bone. You are a dentist's provider, and tonight, the field of Waterloo is the most profitable pharmacy on earth. You aren't just a scavenger. You are the silent architect of 1,000 high society smiles. The boy you just robbed doesn't need his incisors in the mass grave, but a duchess in London will pay a king's ransom to use them to chew her pheasant. Welcome to the dawn of the industrial age, where everything including the human body has a price tag. In 1815, the British Empire is the wealthiest machine in history, but its citizens are rotting from the inside out. This is the great paradox of the Victorian era. As the nation grows stronger, its mouths grow weaker. The villain here is sugar. It's flowing into London from the West Indian plantations in literal mountains of white crystals. It's in the tea, the cakes, the gin, and the medicines. This cheap, addictive fuel has turned the mouths of the London elite into black, festering caverns of decay. To be rich in 1815 is to be toothless. Periodontal disease is the mark of the aristocrat. By the age of 30, most noblemen are hiding gums that look like raw, blackened meat behind silk handkerchiefs. But vanity is a powerful master. Porcelain exists, but it's the technology of the past. It's too brittle. It clanks like tea sets when you speak, and it shatters if you dare to bite into anything harder than a sponge cake. The aristocracy craves Lev Ivory. They want the strength and the shimmer of a real human smile. They want dentists that can withstand a 5-course dinner and the scrutiny of an opera glass. And they don't care where it comes from. If you have the stomach to follow the trail of this ivory from the mud of Belgium to the drawing rooms of Mayfair, you'll understand the true cost of a smile. This is the price of admission to the high society morgue. Only those who can handle the cold, hard mechanics of the supply chain survive the industrial grinder. You are the supply chain. You move through the smoke of the battlefield with the efficiency of a factory worker. The dead of Waterloo are young, healthy, and most importantly, they haven't lived long enough to rot their teeth with the sugar of the wealthy. Their mouths are pristine mines of white gold. You aren't looking for gold watches or silk scarves. Those are for amateurs who don't understand the market. You are looking for the Waterloo ivory. A single set of front teeth from a fallen guardsman will pay for your rent for a year. The system doesn't see a tragedy. It sees a surplus of raw material. As you move from body to body, stepping over the disemboweled horses and the shattered cannons, the sound of your pliers becomes the rhythmic heartbeat of a new economy. You are the invisible laborer providing the one thing money usually can't buy: youth. The battlefield was just the extraction. The real horror happens in the sterile, terrifying silence of a London dental surgeon's back room. The air here is a thick, choking fog of clove oil, peppermint, and the high-pitched, metallic scream of a foot-powered drill. Look at the oak table. Your leather pouch has been emptied. The doctor, a man who likely spent his morning cutting off gangrenous legs, picks up a tooth with a pair of fine silver tweezers. It's still stained with the gray, sulfurous mud of the front lines. He doesn't see a soldier's sacrifice. He sees a component. First comes the ritual of cleaning. This isn't a gentle wash. The teeth are tossed into a bubbling cauldron of acidic solution, often a mix of diluted nitric acid to strip away the stubborn remaining bits of the periodontal ligament and the blackened, dried blood of the battlefield. The room smells like a chemistry lab in a slaughterhouse. Then comes the bleaching. To the wealthy, the creamy yellow of a natural tooth is a sign of poverty. They want an angelic, artificial white. The teeth are soaked in harsh chemical baths, sometimes for days, until the battle grime is replaced by a ghostly, translucent glow. Next, the fitting. This is where the surgeon becomes a carpenter. He takes a base plate made of carved hippopotamus ivory, or for the truly decadent, a solid gold plate. He begins to drill. He isn't a medic. He's a machinist of the macabre. He takes a file and begins to grind down the roots of the dead soldier's teeth. The sound is a low, grating raspbone on steel. He files them until they are flat, uniform pegs. Now, imagine you are the client. You are a duke who lost his teeth years ago to the mercury treatments used to fight syphilis. You sit in the velvet chair, the sunlight catching the dust motes in the air. The dentist slides the Waterloo dentures into your mouth. They are cold. They feel heavy, a foreign weight pressing against your sensitive, receding gums. And as you bite down, you are literally clicking the teeth of a dead man against your own jaw. Every time you smile at a debutante, every time you laugh at a joke in the House of Lords, you are using the anatomical remains of a soldier who died in agony to maintain your social standing. If you appreciate this level of historical grime, hit the like button. It's the only way to support the excavation of these buried truths. The biology of these dentures is even more grotesque than the assembly. These teeth aren't dead in the way a stone is dead. They are porous, organic structures. Once they are seated in your mouth, they begin to absorb the flavors and the fluids of your life. The Duke's morning pork, his heavy cigars, his greasy roast beef, the dead soldier's teeth are slowly being infused with the lifestyle of a man who didn't die for his country, but paid to wear the spoils of its wars. The ivory begins to stain, turning a mottled brown as it drinks in the Duke's decadence. It is a slow, parasitic relationship that lasts until the Duke himself joins the soldier in the earth. But there is a head fake in this trade. The elite thought they were buying health. They thought they were buying a youthful appearance. They were actually buying a biological ticking time bomb. In 1815, germ theory is a fantasy, a fairy tale for the mad. The dentists clean the teeth, yes, but they cannot kill what they don't understand. Many of the soldiers at Waterloo didn't die from musket balls or saber cuts. They died from the invisible killers of the camp, typhus, trench fever, and the slow, creeping rot of syphilis that plagued the rank and file. When those teeth are riveted into a gold plate with silver pins and jammed into the bleeding, inflamed gums of a wealthy Londoner, the invisible executioner moves in. The micro fissures in the dead ivory, the tiny tubules that once fed the tooth, carry the pathogens of the battlefield directly into the bloodstream of the elite. You see the Earl's face begin to swell within weeks. He thinks it's just a bad fit. He thinks the Waterloo ivory is just settling into its new home. It isn't. It's a localized infection that is turning into systemic sepsis. The very teeth he bought to show off his wealth are now pumping a slow, steady stream of poison into his jawbone. The jaw begins to soften. This is phossy jaw, or necrotic osteomyelitis. The Waterloo denture doesn't just sit in the mouth. It begins to eat the mouth. The Earl's breath starts to smell like the sulphurous mud of the battlefield he never saw. He is rotting from the face down, his wealth powerless against the biological revenge of the peasant he's wearing in his mouth. Why would someone choose this? Why endure the pain of pins and the risk of rot? Because in the industrial grinder, the image of health was more valuable than health itself. If you didn't have teeth, you couldn't speak clearly. If you couldn't speak clearly, you couldn't lead. They traded their survival for a perfect stolen smile, because the alternative was social death. The history of medicine isn't just a timeline of progress. It's a ledger of what the rich are willing to steal from the poor to stay beautiful for one more season. The history books hide these details behind the grit and glory of the Napoleonic Wars. I bring the secret of the silver pins and the festering jaw to light. If you want to see the truths they buried in mass graves and the secrets hidden under velvet chairs, subscribe. Don't let me navigate these charnel houses alone. We are just getting started with the 19th century's appetite for bone. By the 1840s, the supply of Waterloo teeth finally began to dry up. But the market, once hooked on human ivory, didn't stop. They moved on to the American Civil War, where Gettysburg teeth became the new fashion. They moved on to the graves of paupers, where resurrection men would dig up the recently deceased, not for science, but for the dental trade. The Waterloo denture became a brand name, the gold standard of Victorian ghoulishness that lasted well into the reign of Queen Victoria. Next time you look at a portrait of a stern, unsmiling Victorian aristocrat, don't assume they were being stoic or dignified. They were often hiding a mouth full of dead men's bones, held together by silver wire, in the hope that the rot wouldn't reach their brain before the photographer finished his work. They were literally wearing the casualties of history to maintain the illusion of their own perfection. We think we are different. We think we've moved past the era of the human harvest. But look at our modern medical tourism, our global trade in biological waste, and the way we still value the aesthetics of health over the reality of it. We haven't changed the ritual. We've just refined the pliers and digitized the ledger. The question remains, echoing from the mud of 1815. Would you wear the teeth of a dead man if it meant you could keep your place in the sun? Would you chew your food with the smile of a boy who died in a ditch? The choice is a moral dilemma that hasn't changed since the smoke cleared over Belgium. Leave your answer in the comments. Is it a greater sin to steal from the dead to help the living, or to let the living rot for the sake of a dead man's dignity? Don't answer too quickly. Your own vanity might be listening.